Jalen Brunson looked awesome on Friday night against the Charlotte Hornets, and the New York Knicks are ready to roll to start the regular season.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You are locked on to the New York Knicks. My name is Gavin Schall. I'm a New York City native. I'm a credentialed media member that's been covering the Knicks for nearly a decade, and I'm the Saturday co-host of the Locked On NBA podcast. This is Locked On Knicks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, your daily podcast on the New York Knicks, giving you the greatest insight on your favorite team at least 5 days a week. So be sure to join. Quickly approaching 10,000 other Knicks fans and subscribing on both YouTube and your favorite podcast platform for the best insight on your favorite team every single day. And today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. All right, guys, on today's show, we are recapping a Friday night duel between the New York Knicks and the Charlotte Hornets. One, the Knicks escaped with a 113-108 win to move to a 4-1 record in the preseason. It doesn't matter, but it's also better than 1-4. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about both Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges treating this like a regular season game, looking like they were in regular season form. We're going to talk about some hot early shooting from Jordan Clarkson, some flashes from Mohamed Diawara, Deuce McBride, Tyler Kolek, Ariel Hukporti, pretty much everyone who played had some fun flashes. And then we'll get into the Knicks final roster. We will get into some injury updates, all that and more coming up right now on Locked On Knicks. But let's start off with the superstar, Jalen Brunson, because I think this, maybe other than some of the injury stuff, and obviously we'll get into the roster, was probably the most important outcome of this game, right? On a night where the Knicks were sitting Mitchell Robinson for load management reasons, Karl Anthony Towns with an injured quadriceps muscle, Josh Hart still nursing that back injury. He'll be back presumably for opening day. Sounds like he was very close and could have played if this was a regular season game. And OG Anunoby nursing an ankle injury. This was the Knicks dress rehearsal, and it was one that Mike Brown, I think, ideally with his full complement of players, would have treated like a full-bore regular season game. And you saw that playing Jalen Brunson in the final 5 minutes of this game, keeping Mikal Bridges on the floor for the final 4 or 5 minutes of this game. And those guys treated this like a real game. And Jalen was absolutely cooking. 31 points, 7 rebounds. That's a rare number. He was flying around. 6 assists, 1 steal, did have 6 turnovers, did have 5 fouls. There was certainly some sloppiness there. But I look towards the efficiency, 12 for 25, 5 for 12, 2 for 3. And I think my single favorite part about this was just how unabashed Jalen was about chucking. Like he was shooting at every single opportunity. He was taking crazy shots. He was taking early shot clock, contested corner threes, because he knows it would have been selfish for him to be unselfish, especially at this point. Like I talked about at times, Deuce McBride overpassing, right, to the guys who were competing to make the roster, the Pacome Daddies, the Tyler Koleks, the Malcolm Brogdons, Landry Shamit's, the Garrison Matthews of the world. Brunson didn't have to do that because they knew the cut they were going to make, right? They knew Garrison Matthews was not going to be on the team. He didn't play in this game. They were allowed to just treat this like a regular basketball game. And he said, the best thing I could do for this team is make sure I'm in a great rhythm going into Wednesday nights. Banger of a season opener against the Cleveland Cavaliers. And we continue to see more of the off-ball stuff from Jalen, which I'll get into right now, but also a lot of the on-ball stuff. And that balance that I think Mike Brown is going to parse through and try to find over the course of the regular season. And it's a balance that Jalen is going to try to find, right? Because you want to get him easier shots. You want to take a lot off his workload in the regular season and to be 100% going to the playoffs, and also just 100% for the rest of his career as he gets closer and closer to his 30s. You also want to let him be Jalen Brunson and let him be the guy who's arguably a top 5 player, no doubt a top 10 player in the entire NBA. So opens this game. He missed this shot, but off ball, sets a little back screen for Mikal Bridges at the elbow. Then he pops off it, comes off a Trey Jemison screen for 3. And again, like I love weaponizing Jalen as a screener. He has so much gravity. You don't want to leave him. He is going to free up OG. He's going to free up Mikal when they're on the court together. He's going to free up Josh. He's going to free up Landry. Like, he is going to create easy shots just by setting his screen. Also, I'm not a big Kendrick Perkins guy, but he's right when he calls Jalen big body Brunson, right? Like, he's thick, he's built. He can like take a punch setting his screen and still fly off it and get into his own shot, Steph Curry style. So that was fun. Started getting into his bag, right? We saw him going at Colin Sexton a few different times, and just cooking him, like taking bumps for little and ones, getting into his bump, shot fake, fade off 1 foot. Like, it was just a full repertoire on the night for him. And then even at times when he was on the ball, like just willing to get off the ball a little faster. This is something I think we started to see turn a corner a little bit in his game starting last season, where I don't even know if it's more unselfish. I think it's just better recognition of the impact he has. And when he takes a dribble to the middle of the floor, it's going to make a defender stunt in that direction, at least take a step and try to like create the impression of a little bit of gap help. And once he draws that help, he's spraying to the wing, he's spraying to the corner, and he's decisive, right? One false step in his direction, and he's trusting that Mikal or OG are going to hit a wing three, or they're going to beat the ensuing closeout, get to the rim, and find a good shot, right? And just elevating his pace in the half court. I know that's been the focus all preseason, but that is something I continue to look at. Multiple threes off of offensive rebounds. This is something I have preached for years. I'm not going to pretend this is a Mike Brown notion. This is kind of an obvious notion, one Tom Thibodeau leaned into a lot. But you get an offensive rebound, you want to immediately find your best three-point shooter. And multiple, actually, we'll talk about it because the activity level is great. Mikal Bridges, offensive rebounds, tap-aways, Diawara saves, just created easy threes for Jalen Brunson. The more of those you can get, obviously it helps you're playing the Hornets, who are not even playing their full starting lineup. We'll see if he's getting those shots against the Cavs. It is encouraging that the Knicks continue to recognize that is, unless you have an open layup or dunk, getting Brunson the ball behind the arc should be your number one option after an offensive rebound. Some of the passing was really nice, and this one just had a beautiful look away bouncer to Ariel Hukporti, who just did a great job running the floor for a big dunk in transition. Had that just sick 4-point play where he took a body bump from KJ Simpson, really sold it, floating to the rim, drained the three. We mentioned just bullying Sexton. Some of the finishing was just nasty. Had that late game one where he bumped off McNeely and he was sort of half falling to the ground, just like got this great backspin off the ball off one hand. It felt like a very Kyrie Irving-ish finish. Nasty behind the back pass to Trey Jemison in transition, inside hand lay, taking a bump and one in transition. Like I'm convinced, because he had a good finishing season last year, right? What was he at? Something like 64% at the rim. I do think Mike Brown is going to leverage, especially when the Knicks play with 5 out, some of the spacing created by Cat even better. And I know I predicted it last year. It didn't end up happening. I would not be surprised if we got pretty darn close to a career best finishing season for Jalen Brunson. I think that was an area of his game he put a lot of emphasis into this offseason. And I mentioned how the Timberwolves were guarding him. We're going to see if other teams are just really hyper aggressive about crashing to compensate against that. If they are, it's on Brunson to be a great passer. It's on guys to make shots. Mikal Bridges looks like he's in a great rhythm. He looks like he's going to make a whole lot of shots. We're going to talk about that in just a sec right here on Locked On Knicks. But first, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. I personally love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep just that much safer and smarter. The swivel screen is also an absolute game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level every single week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. All right, what's up, guys? We're back here on Locked On Knicks, recapping a 113-108 win over the Charlotte Hornets. So we went deep on Jalen Brunson. Let's just bounce around on everyone else. I thought Mikal Bridges was just awesome again in this game. 7 of 16 from the field. Not his best showing from three after a great preseason from there. 2 of 8, though. I love that he got up 8 threes in 33 minutes. If you guys didn't get a chance to listen yet, that was a big topic of conversation in our bold predictions episode, just how many threes Mikal Bridges is going to be willing to shoot. And I think how it will be a real barometer for how good of a shooting team the Knicks are, just the amount of volume he can get up, and obviously that he hits them at career norms rates. But the scoring was almost less important to me, and is more so the tertiary stuff. The guy stuffed the box score. 7 rebounds, including 5 on the offensive end. I don't know if you guys remembered, this was a big point of complaint for me last year. Mikal averaged under 1 offensive rebound last season. And I kind of thought in real time, I was like, oh, this is a departure. Why isn't he crashing harder? He's been such an energy guy throughout his career. And then I checked the other day, he's never averaged more than 1.1 offensive rebounds per game in his career. I think that is an element that can still be unlocked. Him playing at peak energy, peak activity. He's not like an elite vertical athlete, but he is bouncy. He is springy. He has arms that seem like they're like a 10-foot wingspan at times. He can go up and get it. And in this game, he did exactly that. It led to, again, a bunch of easy looks, both for him and even more importantly for Jalen Brunson from 3. So 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. And the defense with Mikal is what stood out to me in this one more than anything else. The play of the game, he missed a 3 in semi-transition and then just sprints back down the floor. You give Deuce McBride credit. Like if this was the blocked by James game 7 of the 2016 finals moment, Deuce McBride was playing the role of J.R. Smith, slowing down Andre Iguodala, who's Colin Sexton, and then our boy Mikal LeBron James Bridges just sprints, hard sprint down the court to absolutely smack down a would-be layup for Colin Sexton. I know I've said it a ton this preseason. I don't want to over-harp on it, but the effort, the energy, the commitment to doing the little things from Mikal Bridges, and that's not to say he was playing without effort or he wasn't playing hard last season. There was just a different level of enthusiasm, and there's an element, like, do you guys ever have this in your day jobs where if you love your boss, you love your coworkers, you believe in what you're doing at your job, you go the extra mile? And that's the difference in Mikal Bridges at this preseason, right? And let's see if it continues, right? We could get 8 games in the regular season. He feels like Jalen's hogging the ball. He feels like Cat is in La La Land on defense. He's pissed. He's making bad decisions. And all of a sudden, it doesn't look good, right? 10 games into the season. So all this with a giant grain of salt. In the preseason, he just looks like a more invested player. And we got there last season, right? We got there, I think, by the playoffs. So there was still some inexplicable stuff in the Pacers series. And I think a lot of it was fatigue, mental and physical fatigue. And it was less that he hated Tom Thibodeau, and it's more that he was exhausted, which maybe he blamed Tom Thibodeau a little bit. But the point is, I don't think he was all in last year. It feels like he's all in this season. And he is a problem because he is a guy who gives you maybe sub-star level scoring, but elements of that. Like you watch him get into his bag in this game. Like he had a play where he was posting up Tijan Salon, who's now, I think, apparently grew 2 inches because the Hornets, this was a Reddit thing. Like they bumped up everyone's height. He's 6'10" now, allegedly. So he's not gonna score in the post over 6'10" Tijan Salon. So he bumps him, gets into a step back, takes a fadeaway to really create separation. And it looked like Kevin Durant. Like I made that comp before, but at his best, scoring in the mid-range, he looks like Kevin Durant, where he's fading away. He's putting it over his head. There's just no way you're going to block it. And the touch is just up there with almost anyone short of Durant in the NBA in the mid-range. He's an elite mid-range scorer. We saw it in game 2 of the conference semifinals against the Celtics. Like when he gets into a rhythm with that, it is a game-changing skill. It is one that the Knicks are going to need to rely on to win a playoff game or a couple of playoff games. It is not your favorite shot in the regular season when you know he can go and get layups on backdoors. He can get layups in transition. He can occasionally get layups just beating a guy with speed in the half court. He can get threes. You don't want him to live there, but it is an efficient shot when you don't have anything else going for you offensively. And there were a few times, like he did the same thing against Con Knipple, like just getting to a spot, rising up, hitting an elbow jumper. I think got Drew Peterson one time too. Like that was exciting. In terms of the effort stuff, just sprinting after a deuce poke away, running the floor, got the sick lefty one-handed punch. Again, a lot of times for Mikal last year, those were feeble layup attempts, or those were like stopping and settling for a three. Like you want him eating the rim in transition. And we got a couple of examples of that in this game. People were really excited about Mohamed Diawara after this one. I obviously got to this game a little bit late, watching it last night. And look, I was excited too. I may be not quite as excited as other people, but I've been a fan of him. And this was clearly his best performance of preseason. 21 minutes, 8 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. Did have 3 turnovers. Turnovers were just a massive issue in this one for the Knicks starting lineup. They only had 1 bench turnover, and the starters combined for 14 turnovers in this one. And Diawara was part of that, but I have mixed feelings on if he'll ever be an NBA level rotation guy. Like the court vision has kind of shocked me from him. Like he is just he's savvy beyond his years in terms of some of the reads he makes, and a guy who was framed when the Knicks drafted him as just this incredibly raw prospect that if it ever came together, it might be a Guershon Yabusele situation, right, where he plays 2 years in the NBA, goes back to Europe, really develops at an outlier rate, and makes it back to the NBA in his mid-20s, in his physical prime as a role player. And he's a little bit ahead of that just in terms of his IQ, in terms of his court mapping. Like for a big like lug of a dude who he doesn't have, like, this is probably my biggest concern with him. Like he's not, usually when you hear raw lump of clay, you think, and you look at someone with his frame, you think, all right, well, that dude's going to at least be a monster athlete. And he's athletic in some ways, but it's not really that. Like it's a little Kevin Knoxy, and that's probably even doing Kevin Knox a disservice. Like he's just very stiff. I say this as someone who has the exact same issue. He like you see his back hunched a lot of times when he's off the ball and when he's moving around the court, and that is core issues. That is just like a lot of body recalibrating that he's going to have to do with Casey Smith and the elite training staff that the Knicks have to get to the point where he is an NBA level athlete at his size, or at least the level of athlete he needs to be, given that he's by and large going to be a non-shooter, at least early in his career. So that is the concern with Diawara, but let's get into some of the good stuff. The hustle always seems to be there from him. Like I mentioned earlier, loose ball save that led to a Brunson 3. Again, some of the passing sprayed it out to Clarkson for 3. Clarkson airballed it. Diawara stayed in the area, got it back, put it back in. Probably my favorite single play of his career so far came in transition, where he was sprinting hard after picking up like a knockaway that I think Clarkson actually like stripped the ball, and then he sprinted the floor. And just this sick pass fake, like the kind of pass fake you saw Rajon Rondo do a lot in his career, where he picked it up at the elbow and gave just a little up fake, like he was going to throw the lob, totally fooled the defender, 2 long steps, gets right to the rim, inside hand lay. That's just high skill level, high level of coordination for, again, a quote unquote raw prospect. Literally the next time down the floor, stripped Colin Sexton, helping on Landry Shamet. One of my things for him, and again, this is about improving the athleticism. Like the athleticism is going to have to get better. The handle is just going to have to get better for things to ultimately click for him as a rotation guy and a good team. Like he had this probe where he just threw the ball away, and you saw Jalen Brunson, after being a good teammate and just kind of tapping himself on the chest and saying, that's my bad. But it was really a product of Diawara driving. And I always mention Mikal, as much as he's knocked at times for not like drawing a ton of attention from opposing defenses, Mikal does draw gap help pretty consistently. And Diawara, like there was just no respect for the drive. Didn't draw any help. His man stuck with him. Everyone stayed home, and that's why there was no pass to make on the drive. And he also just telegraphed, because you knew he wasn't going to ISO and attack the rim, that it was probably going to be a spray. And that's what it was. And in turn, like nothing really came out of it. Also just botched one switch defensively with him and Mikal. That's just going to that's like something any rookie's going to do. He'll get better at that. More time he plays. Had a nice little free throw line runner, showed off some really good touch. There are really exciting elements there with Mohamed Diawara. Unfortunately for the Knicks, Keith Smith outlined this, capologist. He's signed to, I believe it's an Exhibit 10 contract. The Knicks are not going to be able to convert that to like a 3-4 year contract like you've seen them do in the past. I believe that's what they did with Ariel Hukporti last offseason. And because of that, he will be a restricted free agent at the end of this year. I don't think that'll be too much of an issue for New York because I doubt he's going to play in anything other than garbage time. But in a world where he really surprised and he really flashed somehow, that would be an issue for the Knicks because another team might offer him more money in restricted free agency than the Knicks pressing up to the second apron could potentially afford. But for now, I am not super worried about that. Like there are exciting elements there. And for a guy that I thought was simply brought in just to help the Knicks get a sweetheart deal on Guershon Yabusele, because those two have the same agent, and just to kind of fit a cap number for the Knicks, there are some really exciting elements to Diawara's game. I wanted to shout out some of our comments. Shout out to Dorkosaurus Rex. He's always watching. Hashtag Diawara Hive. And then you don't got to be a genius to see the Knicks get some real help with Diawara's physical profile and talents this season. Again, I might not be there, but I appreciate the enthusiasm on Mohamed Diawara. All right, when we come back, we'll finish up with some really quick hitters because I got to get to go record another episode with a fun guest. Landry Shamet, Deuce McBride, Ariel Hukporti, Guershon Yabusele. It is all coming up next right here on Locked On Knicks. But first, I want to tell you about our good friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss right now. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love that FanDuel gives me so many different ways to play. I built parlays, tried player props, and even following the live lines during games. If you guys have been listening to me talk about FanDuel, you know I've talked about the torture it's been at times being a Giants fan over the last few years. That abated for a long time yesterday where they were blowing out the Broncos, one of the best teams in the league, and the Giants, it looked like, all right, they might really have something here. Could they just make like a miracle run at the playoffs? And then they gave up a 1 in 1,600 comeback. But if you were a Broncos fan watching that and you saw when they were down 26-8 with 6 minutes left, hey, I see a glimmer in Bo Nix's eye. I think we're going to win this game. You could have bet the live line and maybe paid down your mortgage, paid off your college loans, man. Like there, you would have gotten crazy, crazy odds on the Broncos winning that game. So I'm sure there was one crazy Broncos fan out there that did it. Shout out to them because they made a boatload of money. So whether you're a casual fan or love diving into the stats, FanDuel makes the game day experience just that much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. I also wanted to tell you about our good friends over at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments, and we don't know the full picture. You can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I love that Monarch helps me maximize my investments, increase your savings rate, and easily review my finances with my partner and or financial advisor. And I've said this before when talking about Monarch Money, I am someone who has had a ton of anxiety about getting my financial life organized. It just feels like a little bit overwhelming. Feels like I don't know what I'm doing. And Monarch just kind of just gives you that little bump you need to feel good about it and feel safe and feel like you're heading the right direction. And your whole life changes when you get your financial life together. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That is 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with our code LOCKEDONNBA. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit about the rest of the Knicks. I've been all positive in this. I want to touch on Guershon Yabusele, 22 minutes, 6 points, steal, block, assist, 3 rebounds, 2 for 8. 2 for 7 for 3. This has been, I'm going to say, slightly concerning preseason for Guershon Yabusele. I'll throw up Dorkosaurus Rex. Yabu struggling big time in preseason. I'm rooting for him, but his lack of lateral quickness, poor defense, lackluster rebounding, we're all on display in the worst way this preseason will find his footing. Yabu was awesome on the Sixers last year. He was awesome in the Olympics for Team France. I was super duper excited about that guy. I don't know if the Knicks have quite seen that version of him yet. I know Alan Hahn on the broadcast was kind of trying to prop him up a little bit the other day and saying it'll look better in the regular season. His physicality will really shine through. I do think he's a gamer. I do think he's the kind of guy like playing real minutes with the real rotation in a very narrowly defined role will probably help him out. I am totally with Dorkosaurus, who, man, buddy, you're basically co-hosting this show. Great points. That there have been some bad signs. And this is where all the optimism that I've had about the Knicks, that I think most of you watching have had about the Knicks, could get just a little bit shaky in terms of like they lost Brogdon, right? And I mentioned, again, Brogdon in and of himself is probably not going to stop you from winning a title, but it was just a little bit of extra depth, a little bit of extra insurance, one other guy who could potentially close some big games, some big moments for you that you lose. And then Jordan Clarkson, like he's a little bit of a flight risk just in that you don't know what you're getting from him each and every night. You don't know what the shot selection is going to be each night. You don't know if the shots are going to be going down. If the shots aren't going down, does he still have value? Is he creating for others? Can his defense be just bad instead of terrible? And in turn, you need Guershon, I mean, on top of Deuce, on top of Josh Hart, who are going to be your rocks. And yes, there's a world where the Knicks do what the Denver Nuggets did and they go down to playing basically 7.5 guys in the postseason. You don't want to be there, right? You want to be where the Thunder are at. You want to be where presumably this year's version of the Nuggets are at. You want to be where the Rockets are at, where the Wolves are at, where you have 8-9 guys you are super comfortable getting on the floor. And you want to find a way to find the minutes, even in the conference finals, even in the NBA finals. And you need a better version of what we've gotten from Guershon to make that happen. Like he was getting cooked at times by Miles Bridges in this game. And I understand that's a really tough matchup for him. Like Miles Bridges, right? 95th to 99th percent. I mean, maybe not in terms of speed, but like, let's just call it like he's a good to great athlete in the NBA. Guershon in space against a team like the Hornets that leans into a ton of shooters is going to have a lot of trouble sliding his feet and guarding Miles Bridges. That is probably going to be an issue for him. His shot has not been good this preseason, just 5 for 18, 28% from the field in the preseason. I'm a little concerned about Guershon Yabusele. Again, I want to see in the regular season because I think he's smart. We saw a large sample size of him being an awesome shooter last year. He'll be able to take advantage of mismatches in the post. Just some concerns on a team that is already lacking in athleticism a bit. That is another guy who's not a great athlete. I'm hoping they pair up a good chunk of his minutes with Mitchell Robinson. I think their strengths and weaknesses will probably balance each other out pretty decently. Deuce just made some wow plays in this one. I mentioned the defensive playmaking with him a couple of times. Just this incredible rotation on McNeely in the left corner after you saw Ryan Kalkbrenner just wide open on the rim, no one there, and he just sprinted in to intercept it. Just great anticipation, saved the dunk. That was awesome. Some of the isolation stuff had Con Knipple just sliding on a jab, put a long 2 in his eyes, right on cue, dance into a wing 3 in Saloon's face. That was sick. I'm still hoping we get more of those off the dribble flashes we saw in Abu Dhabi. And that might just be situational, right? It might come at a time where he's playing with the bench lineup, where Clarkson's off the floor, where Brunson's off the floor, where he really starts to get into his bag. He obviously knows his role, but I'm the dribble, the handle looks better for him. So I'm hoping we see more of it. Clarkson was good. He made some shots. Like Porty, we mentioned running the floor well. Shamet making some nice shots. Tyler Kolek, I think the off-ball stuff in Mike Brown's offense will benefit him immensely. You see him just like when he can get a head start, and like Drew Peterson was on him, and they were trying to hide a wing on him, and he just ditched him off the ball, pass fake to the roller, hits a banker. Some of the pick and roll craft was really, really good. Had a sick, like one-handed sling across the baseline. He's so good at throwing that pass. Even better than Jalen Brunson is to Jordan Clarkson in the corner for a would-be corner 3. That was all good. That was all exciting. Hopefully everyone's ready for opening day, all right? Because the Knicks were missing basically half their rotation in this one. Mitch, they've telegraphed, and Mike Brown said as much. Casey Smith has a plan for him. They're going to be hyper-conservative with him. Josh, I expect to be ready. I think they've been very conservative with that. OG and Cat, if I had to guess, maybe one of them plays, one of them sits against the Cavs, especially with OG. You want to be hyper conservative with him and his lower body, because that has just been an issue throughout his career. I am running low on time here, so I will just very, very quickly say on the roster, just because I haven't commented on it yet. If you guys want my full thoughts, go back and listen to that Malcolm Brogdon episode, because I think we pretty much outlined for you guys what was going to happen. Not that that took any insider info. It was pretty obvious the Knicks were ultimately going to cut Garrison Matthews. He was awesome. in the preseason for the Knicks, one of the elite corner three-point shooters in the NBA, one of just the elite three-point shooters in the NBA, period. He will catch on somewhere. He will be good. In a perfect world, the Knicks could have kept him. I did not think it was worth the possible future equity of what Pacom Dadier could be, and even what Tyler Kolek is today, because the Knicks need a true backup point guard. They had it in Malcolm Brogdon. That is not really Jordan Clarkson's game. That is not really Deuce McBride's game. Tyler Kolek can bring that. He can give you that. I think it is an important element to have on the roster once Malcolm Brogdon was not going to be on this team. And I think Leon Rose, in a tough situation, ultimately made the right decision. Guys, we're there. We're incredibly close. We're going to have one more, again, really fun episode that I'm about to go record literally right now with a guest for you tomorrow. And then we're going to have, hopefully, I'm still finalizing, but hopefully our first episode with both XJ and Chris making some board bets before the start of the regular season. Until then, thank you guys so much for tuning into this live stream. We'll talk to you very, very soon right here on Locked On Knicks.